Street Genius, Part 39. And because of this, in a rare, intimate interview in 2003, a tearful Mustaine admitted that he couldn't help but still consider himself a failure. Despite all that he had accomplished, in his mind, he would always be the guy who got kicked out of Metallica. We're apes. We think we're all sophisticated with our toaster ovens and designer footwear, but we're all just a bunch of finely ornamented apes. And because we are apes, we instinctually measure ourselves against others and vie for status. The question is not whether we evaluate ourselves against others, rather, the question is about what standard do we measure ourselves. Dear Mustaine, whether he realized it or not, chose to measure himself whether he was more successful and popular than Metallica. The experience of getting thrown out of his former band was so painful for him that he adopted success relative to Metallica. And as the metric by which he measures, as the metric by which to measure himself and his music career, despite taking a horrible event in his life, making something positive out of it, Mustaine did with Megadeth. His choice to hold on Metallica's success as his life defining metric continued to hurt him decades later. Despite all the money and the fans and the accolades, he still considered himself a failure. Now, you and I may look at Dave Mustaine's situation and laugh. Here's this guy with millions of dollars, hundreds and thousands of adoring fans, career doing the things he loves the best, and still he's getting all VP, still he's getting all VPI'd that his rock star buddies from 20 years ago are way more famous than he is. This is because you and I have different values than Mustaine does. We measure ourselves by different metrics. Our metrics are probably more like I don't want to work a job for a boss I hate, or I would like to earn enough money to send my kid to a good school, or I would be happy to not wake up in drainage ditch. And by these metrics, Mustaine is wildly unimaginably successful. But by this metric, be more popular and successful than Metallica. He is a failure. Our values determine the metrics by which we measure ourselves and everyone else. Onoda's value of loyalty to the Japanese Empire is what sustained him on Lubang for almost 30 years. But this same value is also what made him miserable upon his return to Japan. Mustaine's metrics of being better than Metallica likely helped him launch an incredibly successful music career, but that same metric later tortured him in spite of his success. If you want to change how you see your problems, you have to change what you value and or how you measure your failure and successes. As an example, let's look at another musician who got kicked out of another band. His story eerily echoes that of Dave Mustaine. Although it happened 2 decades earlier, it was 1962. There was a buzz around an up and coming band from Liverpool, England. This band had funny haircuts and even funnier names, but their music was undeniably good, and the record industry was finally taking notice. There was John, the lead singer, and the songwriter Paul, the boyish faced romantic bass player, George, the rebellious lead guitar player, and then there was the drummer.